Ajurrumiyyah, lesson number 13. In the previous lesson, Ibn Ajurrum, rahimahullah, observed that the adjective has to agree with the noun for which it is an adjective in its grammatical declension and in its definiteness. Here, Ibn Ajurrum follows this with a digression on the meaning of being definite and indefinite. So he will define each one, and it gives some of their categories. والمعرفة خمسة أشياء. The definite is five things. الاسم المضمر, the pronoun, نحو, like أنا وأنت, I and you. والاسم العلم, and the proper noun. So this is معطوف upon الاسم المضمر. نحو, like, and again نحو will be خبر for a مبتدا محذوف. هذا نحو. This is like زيد ومكة. Zayd as a proper noun for a person, and Mekkah as a proper noun for a place. And Mekkah is غير منصرف because it is feminine, and it is also alam. It is a proper noun and it is feminine, therefore it's going to be غير منصرف. It will be a diptote. والاسم المبهم, and literally the ambiguous noun. In English, the al-ism al-mubham is called demonstrative, and the reason it's called ambiguous in Arabic is because when you say this or these, it's not clear who you refer to unless that is indicated by a physical indication, al-ishara al-hissiyya, or you know it from prior context, but in itself it's not clear what it will refer to. So that's why it's called ism al-mubham in Arabic, and in English it's the demonstrative. Nahwu, like هذا وهذه, referring to the demonstrative for something that is close by. This for the masculine, and this for the feminine. Ha here is ha tembih, the ha for attention, drawing attention, and then the is actually the real demonstrative, which means that. So when you say ha the, it's as if you're saying hey that, but in our translation we just say this. هذا وهذه وهؤلاء, هؤلاء referring to these, to the plural, and here again ha is for تنبيه, and the real demonstrative is أولئك. والاسم الذي فيه الاسم فيه الألف واللام, and the noun which has the alif and lam in it. So many grammarians will call this lam al-ta'rif, the lam of definiteness, and then others such as Ibn Hisham al-Ansari call it al, but he mentioned it by saying the noun which has a alif lam in it, referring to the definite article, which in Arabic is a harf, is a particle, unless it precedes a ismul fa'il or an ismul maf'ul, then it is considered an ismul mawsul, but otherwise it is considered a harf, the definite article. Nahwu ar-rajulu, like ar-rajulu, the man, wal-ghulamu, the boy or the male slave, وما أضيف إلى واحد من هذه الأربعة, and what is in a genitive construct with one of these four things. In the Arabic language, there are two types of idafa, genitive construct. One is idafa lafdiyya. Idafa lafdiyya consists of a sifa that is mudaf to its ma'mul, that is an adjective that is in a genitive construct with the word it governs, such as when you say kathirul khair. Kathirul khair, kathir is a sifa, an adjective, and it's mudaf to his ma'mul, to the word it governs. Kathirul khair, meaning kathirun khayruhu. That type of idafa is called idafa lafdiyah. It is only an idafa in lafd. It's just to make the utterance lighter. Instead of saying huwa kathirun khayruhu, you say huwa kathirul khair, and you get rid of the tanween, and you get rid of the damir, and it just makes the ibara, the expression, lighter, easier to say. And it is a general rule that Arabic always tends towards takhfif, always tends towards lightness. So that is called idafa lafdiyah. When it is not the case that you have an adjective that is mudaf to its ma'mul, then it's called al-idafa al-ma'nawiyah, which is the idafa that is most frequent when the mudaf is not an adjective, such as when you say qalamur rajul. In an idafa ma'nawiyah, if the mudaf ilayhi is ma'rifah, the mudaf will also become ma'rifah, because when you say, for example, qalamu ar-rajul, qalamur rajul, the pen of the man, when you know which man it is, you know which pen it is. Therefore, because the man is known, the pen becomes known by your familiarity with the man. So that's why these, if a noun is attributed in a genitive construct to one of these five types of definite nouns, it will itself become definite. والنكرة كل اسم شائع في جنسه لا يختص به واحد دون آخر. The indefinite is every noun that is common in its genus, that is not specific to one member of the genus rather than another. What he means is that when you say, for example, a pen, this name does not belong to only one instantiation of that set, one element of that set, rather to the set of pens, rather it can be used to refer to any pen. So therefore it doesn't belong to one element of the set as opposed to another. It's a common name that can refer to each one of them. So it means a pen means some pen or any pen. It is not specific to, it's not a name that is specific, that belongs solely to a particular pen. And that's what he means by saying that it is a common name in the genus. وتقريبه, and bringing it closer to our understanding, is what? كل ما صلح دخول الألف واللام عليه. So how can a student easily conceive of which nouns are indefinite? وتقريبه, bringing it closer to the mind of the listener, is what? كل ما صلح دخول الألف واللام عليه, every noun which is suitable for the entrance of alif and lam upon it. Ma is موصولة here, يعني تقريبا كل الذي صلح دخول الألف واللام عليه. So in other words, if you can put an alif lam before it, then you know it is indefinite. And this works for the categories we mentioned above, because, for example, you cannot put a alif lam before a damir, right? Why? Because a pronoun is already ma'rifah, it is already definite, so you cannot make something definite again. It would be redundant, what Arabs call tahsil al-hasil, obtaining something that already has occurred. So therefore we cannot put a alif lam before something that is already definite, and likewise with the others. The same is true for ar-rajul, right? If you say ar-rajul, that's already definite, so you cannot put another alif lam before it. Whereas if you say rajulun, that doesn't refer to a particular man, and so therefore you can put alif lam before, say ar-rajul. So you can say ra'aytu rajulan, I saw a man, a man with whom I'm unfamiliar. ذلك الرجل, that man. So when you say that man, ar-rajul, referring to the man that was mentioned in the previous sentence. So there we can add an alif lam to rajulun, which shows that rajulun is a what? Indefinite, and becomes definite through the addition of the definite article. Nahwu ar-rajuli wal-farasi, like the man and the horse. Babul atfi, هذا babul atfi. This is the section, the chapter of the conjunction. وحروف العطف عشرة وهي الواو. The particles of conjunction are 10, and they are الواو. Waw in Arabic, it just means absolute, unrestricted, expresses unrestricted conjunction. So it does not indicate either sequence or simultaneity or delay necessarily. So when you say, for example, جاء زيد وعمر, it could be that Zayd and Amr came together. It could be that Zayd came first and Amr came later. It could also even be that Amr came first and Zayd came later. So waw is just used for pure conjunction without indicating either sequence or simultaneity or delay. Although based upon the context, it could express those meanings as well, but by itself it does not. While fa'u, fa does indicate sequence, and not only sequence, but that what follows is happens right after what it is in conjunction with. So when you say ja zaydun fa amrun, it indicates that Amr came after Zayd and right after Zayd. With thumma indicates delay, and also sequence and delay. So when you say ja zaydun thumma amrun, Zayd came then Amr, that indicates that Amr came after Zayd and then there was delay between their coming. Wa aw is the disjunction meaning or. Next we have am. Am also means or. It has two usages, am al-muttasilah and am al-munqati'ah. Am al-muttasilah means it's an am that connects what is before it with what is after it. It is used either with hamza to taswiyah, the hamza of equivalency, as in the ayah of the Quran al-Karim, استعذ بالله, سواء عليهم أنذرتهم أم لم تنذرهم. So here Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says concerning the disbelievers, إن الذين كفروا سواء عليهم أنذرتهم أم لم تنذرهم لا يؤمنون. Indeed, the disbelievers, the ungrateful, سواء عليهم, it is the same upon them, أنذرتهم, whether you warn them, أم لم تنذرهم, or if you did not warn them. So the hamza here is the hamza to taswiyah, so that could be translated into English by saying regardless of whether you warn them or you did not warn them. So here this connects the verb sentence that follows it, with the verb sentence that precedes it. This is Surah Al-Baqarah, ayah number 6. An example from Arabic poetry uh, for the usage of am the same way is the couplet of the poet وَلَسْتُ أُبَالِي بَعْدَ فَقْدِي مَالِكًا موتي نائٍ أم هو الآن واقع. وَلَسْتُ أُبَالِي, I do not care. بعد فقدي مالكًا, after my losing of Malik, after Malik has passed away. موتي نائٍ, whether my death is distant. أم هو الآن واقع, or whether it now occurs. In the previous example from the ayah, am connected to verb sentences. In this example from Arabic poetry, it connects to noun sentences because لست أبالي بعد فقد مالكا موتي, Hamza is again Hamza to Teswiya, موتي نائن, whether my death is near, أم هو الآن واقع, or it is now occurring. So it connects to noun sentences in this example. Or am can connect a noun sentence with a verb sentence, as in Surah Al-A'raf, ayah number 193. استعيذ بالله سواء عليكم دعوتموهم أم أنتم صامتون. It is the same upon them, meaning upon the idols that the polytheists worship. دعوتموهم, whether you call them, whether you pray to them. أم أنتم صامتون, or you are silent. أنتم صامتون is a noun sentence that is in conjunction with the previous verb sentence. دعوتموهم. Am is also used after the Hamza that requires designation, such as استعيذ بالله أنتم أشد خلقا أم السماء بناها. Are you stronger, more severe in terms of creation, or the heaven? He built it. So here this Hamza is a Hamza which requires designation, unlike the previous Hamza to Teswiya, which meant regardless. This Hamza requires that only one of the options is intended. So this Hamza, which requires designation, differs from Hamza to Teswiya in two respects. One, in the respect that it requires an answer, unlike the Hamza to Teswiya, where it's rhetorical Hamza and it means regardless, so no answer is demanded or required. Second, this Hamza is within a performative sentence or a speech act, insha, where the statement can be neither true or false. It is a question. أنتم أشد خلقا أم السماء بناها. That is a performative sentence that cannot be said to be either true or false. It is asking a question. The genuine questions are performative speech acts. They cannot be said to be true or false, as opposed to the usage of Hamza Teswiya, which is a constative, where it refers to a statement that can be true or false. So it is a question in its appearance, but it really is not a question, right? It means regardless. So when the meaning of the ayah سواء عليهم أنذرتم أم لم تنذرهم is what? سواء عليهم إنذارك وعدمه. So that is a إخباري sentence. It's a constative sentence. It's not a إنشائي sentence. So in these two respects, the Hamza, which requires a designation, differs from Hamza al-Taswiyah, and M can be used with either one of them. M can also be munqati'ah, which means what? That it doesn't connect what comes after it with what comes before it. The example of that from the Quran al-Karim is Surah At-Tur, ayah number 39. أَمْ لَهُ بَنَاتٌ وَلَكُمُ الْبَنُونَ, or does he have daughters, referring to the false mythology of the polytheist Arabs that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala had daughters. أَمْ لَهُ بَنَاتٌ, does he have daughters? وَلَكُمُ الْبَنُونَ, while you have sons, showing how false their reasoning is, that they attribute to God daughters which they themselves did not want to have. So here, this M is muqatiya, it doesn't connect what is before it with what is after it. Next we have imma. Imma also means or, but it is used in the sense of either or. The example from the Quran al-Karim is the ayah number 106 from Surah At-Tawbah. Estaizu billah. وَآخَرُونَ مُرْجَوْنَ لِأَمْرِ اللَّهِ إِمَّا يُعَذِّبُهُمْ وَإِمَّا يَتُوبُ عَلَيْهِمْ وَاللَّهُ عَلِيمٌ حَكِيمٌ. And وَآخَرُونَ, and others, مُرْجَوْنَ, are postponed لِأَمْرِ اللَّهِ, to the command of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. إِمَّا يُعَذِّبُهُمْ, either he will punish them, وَإِمَّا يَتُوبُ عَلَيْهِمْ, or he will accept their repentance, he will forgive them. وَاللَّهُ عَلِيمٌ حَكِيمٌ, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is all-knowing, all-wise. This refers to the three companions who did not join the military expedition of Tabuk, and the Prophet sallallahu ta'ala alayhi wa alihi wasallam commanded the companions not to talk with them and not to say salam to them, and they were isolated, and after a while, after their sincere repentance, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala did forgive them. This refers to Ka'b ibn Malik and Hilal ibn Umayyah and Murarah ibn Rabi al-Ansari radiyallahu anhum ajmain. This imma, which is a particle of conjunction, should not be confused with the imma that is composed from in shartiya and ma that follows it. So that is inma, through idgham, through the assimilation of the nun, or the incorporation of the nun with the meme. It sounds exactly like the imma that is used for conjunction, but that is actually inma, becomes imma through incorporation. So that is used in the Quran more than once, and that does not mean either or. It just means in shartiya, meaning if. For example, ayah number 38 in Surah Al-Baqarah, قُلْ نَهْبِطُوا مِنْهَا جَمِيعًا فَإِمَّا يَأْتِيَنَّكُم مِّنِّي هُدًى فَمَنْ تَبِعَ هُدَايَ فَلَا خَوْفٌ عَلَيْهِمْ وَلَا هُمْ يَحْزَنُونَ. We said drop from it, meaning from Jannah, all of you. فَإِمَّا, this in is shartiya, ma is zaide للتوكيد, for emphasis. فَإِمَّا, if يَأْتِيَنَّكُم مِّنِّي هُدًى, فَإِمَّا يَأْتِيَنَّكُم مِّنِّي هُدًى, if indeed guidance comes from me, فَمَنْ تَبِعَ هُدَايَ, whoever follows my guidance, فَلَا خَوْفٌ عَلَيْهِمْ وَلَا هُمْ يَحْزَنُونَ, there is no fear upon them, nor are they saddened. Or in the ayah, Surah Al-An'am, ayah number 68, وَإِمَّا يُنْسِيَنَّكَ الشَّيْطَانُ فَلَا تَقْعُدْ بَعْدَ الذِّكْرَى مَعَ الْقَوْمِ الظَّالِمِينَ. And if Shaitan, the Satan, makes you forget, فَلَا تَقْعُدْ, do not sit, بَعْدَ الذِّكْرَى, after the remembrance, مَعَ الْقَوْمِ الظَّالِمِينَ, with the wrongdoing people. Again, that in imma consists of in shartiya and ma az-zaide. We can also give as an example ayah 200 from Surah Al-A'raf, وَإِمَّا يَنْزَغَنَّكَ مِنَ الشَّيْطَانِ نَزْغٌ فَاسْتَعِذْ بِاللَّهِ إِنَّهُ سَمِيعٌ عَلِيمٌ. And if a provocation from Satan provokes you, فَاسْتَعِذْ بِاللَّهِ, seek refuge in Allah, إِنَّهُ سَمِيعٌ عَلِيمٌ. Indeed, He is all-hearing, all-knowing. So this imma, although it sounds exactly the same as the imma that is a particle of conjunction, is completely different. And this is not for conjunction, rather it is in shartiye plus with the ma added to it, and the nun becomes incorporated in the mim. So imma becomes imma as opposed to imma, which is used with the meaning of either or and is a particle of conjunction, as we have mentioned. Next we have bal. Bal means rather or better yet. For example, ma jaa Muhammedun bal Bekrun. Muhammad did not come, rather Bekr came. La is also used as a particle of conjunction. For example, when you say jaa Bekrun la Khalidun, Bekr came, not Khalid. Then we have lakin. Lakin means but. So if you say, for example, la uhibbul kesala lakinil mushtehidin, I do not love lazy people, but the ones who exert themselves, the ones who work hard. Now recall that we have also seen lakinne, which would look exactly the same without any teşkil, without the vowelization, as this lakin. That lakinne was among the nawasikh, those grammatical governors that changed the ruling of the mubtada and khabar, and it was among inna and its likes, inna wa akhawatiha, and it would do nasb of the ism, make it in the accusative case, and rafa of the khabar, and it will make the predicate in the nominative case. We've already discussed that. So the question is, how do we differentiate that lakinne from this lakin? That lakin again is from inna and akhawat, and this lakin is a harful atf. That lakinne is a grammatical governor. This lakin, which is a particle of conjunction, is not a grammatical governor. It just makes what the noun that follows it. The noun that follows it follows the declension of the word. It is in conjunction with it through the particle of conjunction, that is lakin. So let's look at the side of the meaning. From the side of the meaning, there is really no complication, and that's perhaps all that is relevant for the beginning student. We're going to translate both lakinne, that is from the inne and its likes. Those are also called al-huruf al-mushabbaha bil-fi'l, the particles that resemble, that are likened to the verb. So those nawasikh, the lakinne, that is one of those nawasikh, and lakin, which is a particle of conjunction, you will translate both of them as but, however. So in that sense, there's really no difference in terms of translation, and that's perhaps all that is relevant for the beginning student. For more intermediate and advanced students, the issue is a bit more complicated. Why? Well, first this, that if you have um, lam, kaf, nun followed by a mensub ism and a marfu khabar, then you know that that is lakin. So that's straightforward. Whereas the noun that follows lakin is going to be according to the declension of the noun that is with which it is in conjunction with. But the issue gets more complicated because of two reasons. First, lakinne is sometimes lightened. Okay, so lakinne sometimes becomes lakin. When it is lightened, when it's mukhaffaf, it will sound exactly and look exactly like the lakin, which is the particle of conjunction. So then how should we differentiate the two? The second issue is that there is difference of opinion, at least there is difference in the presentation of how grammarians explain this issue, and so that might be another point of confusion. So I'm going to try to untangle the issue here. So let's start with the lakinne, that is mukhaffafa. Now, once lakinne becomes mukhaffafa, once it becomes lightened, it loses its grammatical government. So it cannot govern at all. So what would be an example of this? For example, if you say ما جاءني زيد ولكن أمر حاضر. Zaid did not come to me, but Amr is present. So here you see that walakin, that lakin is lightened from walakinne, and once it is lightened, it loses its government, and the noun that follows it is no longer going to be mensub. It will have no government, so it's as if there is a brand new sentence afterwards. Walakin amrun hadirun. Amr will be the mubtada, and hadir will be the khabar. In this case, the waw before the lakin that is lightened is considered by some grammarians to be waw al-atifa, and this is a very good way to distinguish it from the lakin that is a harful atf, because a lakin that is a harful atf, a particle of conjunction, cannot have a waw before it, because lakin is already used for conjunction, and so you're not going to have a waw before it that is also for conjunction. So this waw, some grammarians consider it to be the waw of conjunction. Now, Sheikh Radi, and Radi is a very distinguished, famous grammarian. He was Shia, so we cannot take our aqidah from him, but he did excel in the field of grammar, so he is considered an expert in that field, so we can benefit from his grammatical knowledge, and this is the true with other famous scholars who are distinguished in certain fields who are not from Ahl Sunnah wal Jama'ah, such as Zamakhshari, who was a Mu'tazili. We can also benefit from his insights into the Arabic language and grammar, and in most cases his theology does not affect his understanding of grammar. In some cases it does, and the Sunni commentaries on his work will highlight those places. But the point here is that with scholars such as Radi and Zamakhshari, who are not from the Ahl Sunnah wal Jama'ah, we cannot take our creed from them, but we can benefit from their grammatical knowledge, just as we can, for example, learn a secular field of knowledge from a non-Muslim, such as learning math, for example, from a non-Muslim. That would be permissible, whereas learning your creed from a non-Muslim will not be permissible. In the same way, we can benefit from the grammatical knowledge of these experts in grammar without taking their aqidah. We cannot do ta'zim of them because it is not permissible to do ta'zim of a fasiq or a kafir, but where they have expertise in a certain field that is beneficial for Muslims, we can benefit from their knowledge in that field. He is also known among the Orientals as Al-Astrabadi, and he has a very famous commentary on the Kafiyah of Ibn al-Hajib. So those of you who are going to specialize in Nahu should get to know him and his works. Anyhow, this he considers that this waw is not waw al-atfa, it's rather waw al-i'tirad, so it's as if it's an accidental waw. And what he means by that is that if we consider waw al-atifa, in terms of meaning, it's not going to fit well, because if you say and but, that is sort of awkward in terms of meaning. So he did not consider this waw to be waw al-atifa, but rather waw al-i'tirad, an accidental waw. However that might be, we see that in this example of ma ja'ani zaydun walakin amrun hadirun, is that this walakin, the lakin in walakin is what? Is mukhaffaf from lakinne, which is from the inna and its likes. Okay? And it has lost its government, and so the noun that follows it is no longer going to be its ism, the ism of lakinne, rather it will be what? A mubtada, and hadirun will be khabar. Okay? So this is just an example of lakinne when it loses its government through being lightened by losing the shadda on the nun. Now, once this lakinne loses its government through the takhfif, unlike the lakinne that is mushaddada, it can come upon both nouns and verbs. The reason that lakinne could not come upon verbs is because it necessitates that it does nasb of its ism, and so that's why it's not followed by a verb. However, once it becomes lightened, then it can be followed either by a noun or by a verb. Now we come to the lakin, that is the particle of conjunction. Now we said first that this lakin will never have a wa before it, so that's a simple way of differentiating between lakin that is for conjunction and lakinne that is lightened, lakin that is lightened from lakinne. So once we come to the lakin, that is the particle of conjunction, let's first talk about where the grammarians are in agreement. When this lakin is used to make a conjunction with a mufrad, with a simple noun, as opposed to a sentence. When we say simple, that is as opposed to mufrad, that is as opposed to murakkab. When it is used for the conjunction of a simple noun, it will have the following conditions. It must be preceded either by nefi or nehi, by a negation or a prohibition, as in the example I gave you. La uhibbul kasala lakinnil mujtahidin. I do not love the lazy, but those who exert themselves. Mujtehidin is ma'tuf upon al-kesala, and they're both mansuf in the accusative case. So here you can see that the sentence that precedes lakin, that is used for to make a conjunction of a simple noun, it has a particle of negation, la, before it, la uhibbu. So it is preceded by a sentence that has negation in it, so that condition is met. Second, as we mentioned, it cannot have a waw before it, because then we know that it is lakinne, lakin that is Latin from lakinne, which is from inne and its likes. So it cannot have a waw before it. And also, these conditions are only used for the conjunction of a simple noun. Okay, so this is how you do a conjunction of a simple noun with lakin, that is a particle of conjunction, and the grammarians are agreement on this. Now, where they are they seem to disagree, at least in the way that they present the issue, is can this lakin, which is a particle of conjunction, be used to do atf of a sentence upon a sentence? Okay, if we look at modern works such as Muhammad Muhyiddin Abdul Hamid's commentary and on the Ajrumiyyah, such as Ehtuf Seniye, or the Encyclopedia of Syntax of Dr. Emil Bedi Yaqub, they will say that these three conditions of having a simple noun that follows it, of having negation or prohibition that precedes it, and that there should not be a waw before it, are necessary for lakin to be used as a particle of conjunction. Now, pre-modern grammarians, they say that it is not necessary for lakin to only be used for the conjunction of a simple noun. It can be used for the conjunction of sentences as well, but then it's going to work slightly differently. We said that when it is used for the conjunction of a simple noun, it has to be preceded by a sentence that has negation in it. In that case, it is the opposite of la. Now, when it is used to have a conjunction of a sentence with a sentence, then it does not, the sentence that precedes it does not have to have a negation. It could be for affirmation after negation, or it could be for negation after affirmation. For example, we can say جاءني زيد لكن أمر لم يجي. Zayd came to me, but Amr did not come. Or it could be the other way, where the preceding sentence is negative. For example, if you say ما جاءني زيد لكن أمر قد جاء. Zayd did not come to me, but Amr did come. So here we see the difference, that when it was used to conjoin a mufrad, a simple noun, it had to be preceded by a negated sentence. Where it is used, when it is used to conjoin a sentence with a sentence, then lakin can either conjoin a negative sentence with an affirmative sentence, or an affirmative sentence with a negative sentence. When it is used to conjoin a positive sentence with a preceding negative sentence, then it has the meaning of bal, rather. So, for example, when you say ما جاءني زيد لكن أمر قد جاء, Zayd did not come to me, but Amr did come. It's as if you're saying Zayd did not come to me, rather Amr came. Okay, and so this is how pre-modern grammarians explain the issue, saying that lakin can either conjoin a simple noun or it can conjoin a sentence, but when it conjoins a simple noun, it cannot have a waw, lakin cannot have a waw before it, because then it would be the lakin that is nasiqa, that is lightened, and then it has to be preceded by a negated sentence, whereas when it is conjoining a sentence to a sentence, it could conjoin a positive sentence with a negative sentence, or a negative sentence with a positive sentence. Modern grammarians such as Muhammad Muhyiddin Abdul Hamid and Emil Bedi Yaqub, they present the issue differently, and they say that lakin as a particle of conjunction can only be used to conjoin a simple noun. It cannot be used to conjoin sentences, but we saw that that's not the case. So what happens when it is used to conjoin sentences? Emil Bedi Yaqub presents this as a third type of lakin, which he calls lakin al-ibtidaiyya, and in this he includes the lakin that is that we discussed as conjoining a sentence with a sentence. He includes it under this category so that he can say that the lakin that is atifa can only be used to conjoin a mufrad. Okay, so in his understanding, lakin that is ibtidaiya includes the lakin that is used to conjoin sentences, and he calls that ibtidaiya, and he also includes walakin that is mukhaffafa from lakinne under this category, and he gives the example of the ayah Estaizu billah ma kana Muhammedun eba ahadin min rijalikum walakin Rasulallah. Muhammad sallallahu ta'ala alayhi wa alihi wa sallam was not the father of any one of your men, but the messenger of Allah, wa khataman nabiyyin, and the seal of the prophets, after whom there is no new prophet or messenger. So here he understands this, he calls this lakin, walakin, to be ibtidaiye. In reality, that walakin is just walakin that is mukhaffaf from lakinne. Okay, so he creates this like sort of third category under lakin, or let's say this, he creates a second category. He discusses lakinne, and then he discusses lakin, and then within lakin he says it's either atifa and or it is ibtidaiya, and under the ibtidaiya he discusses where it is used to conjoin a sentence with a sentence without a waw, and he also includes its usage with a waw. Again, that is that is debatable, because that lakin with a waw is actually lightened from walakinne, so it is not a subcategory of lakin, rather it is a subcategory of lakinne, meaning lakinne either is not lightened or it is lightened, in which case it will not have government, so the nouns following it will be a mubtada rather than a isim of lakinne. So this is how he presents the issue, and um, um, it makes sense in terms of highlighting that that it is ibtidai, that you will have a new sentence after it, right? Um, from that perspective, it makes sense, but actually, from the perspective of sort of, you know, uh, grouping disparate things, it doesn't make that much sense, because he's grouping um, uh, lakinne, that is muhaffefe, under lakin, and that doesn't make too much sense. Rather, we should say, so from that perspective, I think that the way the classical grammarians classified it makes much more sense. You have lakinne, and that can be lightened and become lakin, and then it will have a waw before it. Then you will know that it is not the lakin that is used for conjunction. That is lakin that is from the nawasikh, that loses its amal because when it is lightened. And then you have lakin, and then lakin that is a particle of conjunction, can either do um, uh, can either conjoin a simple noun, or it can conjoin two sentences. If it conjoins a simple noun, then it has to be preceded by a negation or a prohibition, and lakin cannot have a wa before it, because then we know that is the lakin that is lightened from lakinne. If it conjoins sentences, then there has to be a difference in terms of affirmation and negation. Either the sentence that precedes it has affirmation, followed by negation, or the sentence that precedes has negation, followed by affirmation. So we should be careful that and observe that the modern works of grammar are often um, inferior to pre-modern works of grammar, and so we can only take these modern works of grammars as a starting point. They're not to be exclusively relied upon. Rather, the beginning student can just work with them until they can read classical works, which are authoritative, as opposed to the modern works, which might be inaccurate, or they might present an issue in which there's a difference of opinion by just taking one side and not presenting difference of opinion, and other times they might make mistakes. So that's why, if there is a difference between a modern and a pre-modern work, we should go with the pre-modern work. And as you gain more experience in various fields of ulum, you will get to know what works in what fields are authoritative. Next we have hatta, and um, uh, this hatta means even. So for example, if you say ekeltu es-semeke hatta re'seha, that I ate the fish even its head. So that hatta means even, or the grammarians give the example yemutun nasu hatta al-enbiya'u, people die, even the prophets. So this hatta, in the sense of tasting death, this hatta indicates something that happens gradually, and that the what is in conjunction is sort of um, um, the limit of what it is in conjunction with. So in the examples we saw that I ate the fish, even its head. So that the head is the limit of the fish, and many people do not eat the head. So it is a ghaya in that sense. And also in the other example, يَمُوتُ النَّاسُ حَتَّى الْأَنْبِيَاءُ, that even the prophets, meaning even these most special people that are chosen by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, taste death. So this hatta means even. Ibn Ajurrum adds the qualification وَحَتَّى فِي بَعْضِ الْمَوَادِي, hatta in some places. He notes this so that this hatta, that is a particle of conjunction, should not be confused with the hatta that is a genitive particle. That hatta does not mean even, it means until, as in hatta matla'il fajr. So there, that hatta is a what? A genitive particle. It doesn't mean even. This hatta, which is a particle of conjunction, means even, and hatta is also used as hatta al-ibtidaiyya. That's a hatta that is followed by a full sentence, and that is also different. That is not a hatta for conjunction, or it is not the hatta that is the genitive particle. An example of this hatta that is al-ibtidaiyya is the couplet of Jarir. ما زالت القتلى تمج دماءها بدجلة حتى ماء دجلة أشكل. ما زالت القتلى تمج دماءها, the killed did not cease to spurt through their blood, بدجلة, onto the Tigris river, حتى, such that, ماء دجلة أشكل, such that the water of the Tigris river became mixed. So here you can see that this hatta is hatta al-ibtidaiyya, and you have ma dijle, ma as the mubtada that follows the hatta al-ibtidaiyya, and it is not majrur. This hatta is hatta ibtidaiyya, and oftentimes we will translate it as such that the water of the Tigris river became mixed. فَإِنْ عَتَفْتَ بِهَا عَلَى مَرْفُوعٍ, so if you make a conjunction upon something that is in the nominative case, رَفَعْتَ, what is the conjunction will also be in the nominative case. أو على منصوب نصبت, or if you have a conjunction upon something that is in the accusative case, you make the conjunction in the accusative case as well. أو على مخفوض خفضت, or upon a genitive, then you make the noun that is in conjunction with what is before it in the genitive case. أو على مجزوم جزمت, or if it is if you have a conjunction with a verb that is in the jazm mood, then you make the verb that follows also in the jazm mood. تقول, you say, قام زيد وعمر. Example of the first, this is called lef wa nashr murattab. The examples come in the same order as the possibilities he mentioned previously. قام زيد وعمر, Zayd and Amr got up, where Zayd is marfu, nominative, so Amr is also marfu, nominative. وَرَأَيْتُ زَيْدًا وَعَمْرًا, I saw Zayd and Amr. Zayd is accusative as the maf'ul bihi, direct object of ra'aytu, so Amran is also accusative. And notice here that the waw that is usually written after Amr is not written because of the elif, because that waw is written just so that Amr can be distinguished from the other common proper noun Umar. Now Umar is a diptot, it's غير منصرف, so when it is mensub, it will not have an elif, it will just have a feta. So here, because of the elif, we know that it is Amr and not Umar, so the waw becomes unnecessary, so they don't write it. So wa amran, Amr is accusative, just as Zayd is accusative. Wa marartu bi Zaydin wa Amrin. Um, I passed by Zayd and Amr. Zayd is in the genitive case, and Amr, which is in conjunction with it, is also in the genitive case. Notice here that they write the waw because without it we wouldn't be able to distinguish it um, from Umar. Uh, your text might have a teshkil, but Arabic usually does not have teshkil other than Quran Karim. So without the waw, there will be no way of distinguishing here Amr from Umar. So they write the waw to distinguish it. بزيد وعمر وزيد لم يقم ولم يقعد. Zayd neither stood nor did he sit down. So here لم يقم is in the jasm mood, so لم يقعد is also in the jasm mood because it is in conjunction with it. قعد means to sit down, whereas from standing, whereas jalasa means sit up from a position of lying down. Although some scholars use them synonymously. This is the end of lesson number 13. Subhanak Allah'ın bihamdik. Neşhedü en la ilahe illen. Estağfirullah ve netubu ileyk. Subhan rabbike rabbil izzeti amma yasifun. Selamun alel murselin. Elhamdülillahi rabbil alemin.